folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and this week we are doing Franchise Frenzy, the Part 8's. And this series was created by TheHorrorMan and Horrific Nightmares JM. Keep in mind we are dealing with the 8th film in these franchises, so we're not exactly talking about horror classics at this point. So with that being said, let's get into it. In at number 12 is Hellraiser Hellworld, Evil Goes Online. The franchise is in pretty rough shape at this point, but I do like that they brought in Lance Henriksen, and he definitely chews the scenery, as well as Doug Bradley as Pinhead. It's amazing that Doug Bradley still keeps coming back for these, but yeah, we're dealing with some early 2000s bad CGI, so it looked bad back then, so imagine how bad it looks now. In at number 11 is Halloween Resurrection. Yes, you guys are probably shocked that I put a Halloween movie this low, but yeah, this is probably my least favorite Halloween film, period. It just really aggravates me because it's nothing but a cash grab on the name of the Halloween franchise. It's like they were just trying to make a quick buck and capitalize on the success of Halloween H2O by undoing everything they did at the end of Halloween H2O. And one scene that really drives me nuts is when Busta Rhymes' character is dressed up like Michael Myers, and he actually runs into Michael Myers, not knowing that it's him, but, you know, basically giving him the third degree and yelling at him, and Michael Myers just turns around and walks away. I'm like, are you serious? Michael Myers would not do that. And of course, you got the cringeworthy line, you know, Busta Rhymes kung fu in Michael Myers' ass and saying, "Trick or treat, motherfucker." Oh my god. Need I say more? And at number 10 is Puppet Master: The Legacy. I actually really enjoy this one. It's just balls to the wall, you know, it's bonkers, you know, you got every single puppet that's ever been in the franchise, and it's just wild. The doctor guy, the screwhead guy, Blade, everybody's in it. 6-shooter, the strongman guy, man. It's an absolute blast. It's so much fun. And number 9 is Leprechaun Returns. Pretty decent return to form for the franchise, although you do have a different guy stepping into the role of the Leprechaun. But he does a good job. It's pretty decent. It's not a bad reboot. It is actually kind of a sequel to the original film. So yeah, I guess it's kind of a requel. But not bad. Decent return. I don't know if there are going to be any more films in the franchise at this point. We haven't heard anything. But you never know. Next up, we have Annabelle Comes Home. Definitely enjoyed this one. I enjoy the Annabelle films. I think they're all well done, you know. They're creepy, it's got some good jump scares, you know. They're scary. I like them. Next up, we have Jigsaw. Yeah, after the final chapter, we knew it wasn't going to be the final chapter, so of course they did bring back Jigsaw. And this is a decent one. It has some really good traps in here, actually. Some brutal gore, you know. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Nothing great, nothing spectacular. I still have not seen Saw X yet, so I heard that was really good, so I definitely need to check that out. You know, by the time we get to that in this franchise frenzy, of course. Next up, we have Leatherface, which Actually, I was pleasantly surprised with this the last time I watched it. Like, it's definitely something different, although I don't know if I buy it as a prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it does something different. It's got some nice twists and turns, you know. They kind of allude to this one kid being Leatherface, and of course it ends up being someone completely different that you wouldn't suspect was Leatherface. So I thought that was a nice twist, and it's pretty cool. I like this one. I like the family in this one, you know. So it's pretty cool. Next up, we have Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, you know. A lot of people put this one low on their ranking, and, you know, it's not a great film by any means, but I do think it's a lot of fun, and, yeah, a lot of people are upset about that not much of the film actually takes place in Manhattan. We don't really get to Manhattan until, like, the last 20 minutes. Most of the film is on the boat ride to Manhattan. But yeah, there's definitely some memorable kills in this one. Jason's brutal in this one. You got Kane Hodder returning to the role, of course. I think it's a lot of fun. Is it a great movie? No, not by any means, but there's definitely some memorable moments, like when Jason's in Manhattan and these punk kids walk by and they're blasting the radio and Jason kicks the radio and they're like, they all get their knives out and like, you're gonna die, man, and he just turns around and opens his mask up and shows his face for a second and they all take off. It's hilarious. Next up, yes, we have Child's Play the remake, and I do enjoy this film. I just like that they did something different with it. I'm not as tied to the original franchise as some people are. So I could buy this. I thought it was something different. I like the idea of Chucky being artificial intelligence and hacking into everything that's AI generated. You know, he can be really dangerous that way, you know. I thought it was cool they brought in Mark Hamill to do the voice of Chucky, too. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, although the design of the Chucky doll wasn't quite there. I feel like they should have worked a little more on that. But still, there's some great kills in here. It's well made, you know, it's got a great budget, so I thought it was a good film. Next up, we have Alien Covenant from Ridley Scott, and this is the sequel to Prometheus, and of course a prequel to the original Alien, of course. So this one kind of ties more into the alien side of things, where Prometheus was kind of just in that world. It's kind of an interesting story about creation and why we're here and stuff like that. It's definitely was more of a cerebral science fiction film, and that definitely does carry over into this film. I'd say at least for the first half, you know, we are dealing with David a lot, the synth character. We get Michael, who is also Michael Fassbender as well, so you get two synths played by the same actor, which is kind of fun. But we do finally get to see the full-blown xenomorph in here, although a lot of people don't like that it's in CGI, you know, they want to see some more practical effects like the original Alien, but that's the thing, if this movie is supposed to be before the original Alien, it's got, you know, more high-tech, you know, modern special effects. It's kind of weird to watch this and then go into the original Alien. Even though it's a fantastic film, you know, there are moments of the original Alien that are a little bit dated when you're dealing with the technology and stuff, but when this one has super, you know, hyped up technology. But anyway, I do enjoy the film. I think it's a fun film. It's beautiful to look at, beautifully directed by Ridley Scott. Amazing visuals. Just like Prometheus. Next up, we have Freddy vs. Jason. They spent such a long time talking about this movie and trying to get it made and trying to get it produced, but we did finally get it in 2003. And I really enjoy it. I think it's an absolute blast. Every time I watch it, I just have so much fun. I love the fights that Freddy and Jason have. And I actually do like Ken Kersinger as Jason. I think it's definitely a different take on the character. This is more of kind of the Frankenstein's monster version of Jason, but I like that, you know. It's something different. And Robert Englund just absolutely crushes it as Freddy. And yeah, I do think this is more of a Nightmare on Elm Street film, but certainly Jason is very well represented. Both characters are great here, and I love the fight scenes. Does suffer for some of the early 2000s CGI a little bit, but there's definitely some brutal gore effects. I mean, this movie's bloody as hell. It definitely lives up to the hype, I think. I thought they delivered the goods. And in that number one, a lot of people might be surprised by this. It's the Satanic Rites of Dracula, yes. The final Hammer Dracula film to feature Christopher Lee is the Count. Yes, he did not return for the next film, but he goes out with a bang here. I really enjoy this film. I think there's some of the best scenes between Dracula and Peter Cushing as Van Helsing in the franchise. I really enjoy it. I like that they inject a little bit of the spy thriller in there, like the James Bonds. Very 70s feel to it as well. I think it's a good continuation of the events of Dracula AD 1972 as well. Once again, you got Dracula in the modern age, this being the 70s, of course. Yeah, I think it's an absolute blast, and we get to see a lot more dialogue here from Christopher Lee as Dracula. He's awesome here. He's just really trying to, you know, take over the world, basically, you know, with this bubonic plague that he unleashes. But it doesn't quite go his way, as it usually doesn't. And Peter Cushing's Van Helsing is there to take him down once and for all. And a lot of people have issues with the ending, of course. The fact that Dracula is taken out by these thorn bushes, you know, that represent Christ's crown of thorns, you know. It's just funny how Hammer comes up with new ways to kill Dracula every time. But I think it's a blast, and Christopher Lee just kills it. Alright guys, that's it for Franchise Frenzy, the Part 8's. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared. Good evening, folks, and we got some brand new merchandise for you over at www.thehorrorcona.com, and that's CONA.com. Representing the Horror Corner. Great new design. We got the Morbid Hour live stream there, you got the Horror Hangout live stream there, and you got my nemesis, the Dark Fate. So grab your t-shirt over at www.thehorrorcona.com. And we also got this beautiful new mug. Look at that. Very, very cool. Thought that came out really nice. So grab your merchandise today over at www.thehorrorcona.com.